Hello and welcome to the Soulful Mamas podcast. You're with your host Maria, and thanks for joining me for another episode. Now, before I get into the episode, a couple of things. Firstly, I want to check in. How are you doing? How are you doing after this current energy cycle that we're in? That eclipse was pretty big, and we're still in the energy, sort of the aftershocks, if you like, afterwave of that, and which can be felt for weeks, or some say months afterwards. So if you're still feeling a bit heavy, and like I was saying last time, walking through mud, then that's okay. Me too. It's okay. I think, there's a lot going on everywhere right now. It's not just in the cosmos, the stars and the planets and the moon doing all their things, but it's not just that. On a collective level, us humans are having our own little hurrah with different things that we're navigating right now. And individually, yes, but on a collective level, yes, and we can all know what those are on the world stage. So it impacts every one of us in some way. Even if it's not directly, energetically, we are feeling some impact of other people's emotions or feelings or actions. There's a ripple, and the more you come to realize more and more that everything is connected. We are all connected in one way or another. This big, beautiful spider web, all the weavings. So there's just a little bit of recalibration perhaps at the moment, and everybody's having their own experience with that and navigating that in their own way. And we just have to be the more we can drop into that space of compassion and awareness and ultimately love, it helps move and shift the energy in a more positive, helpful, healthy way rather than the alternative. So yeah, if you're feeling a little bit what is going on, that's you and 8 billion other people right now. So what do? What you do is come back to yourself. What do you need in this moment? And definitely drinking more good, clean, clear, fresh water, getting outside in nature. If you can, grounding more, so bare feet, preferably on the earth. Our sun is having quite a bit of a shift right now too, and with solar flares, etc. So, harnessing the energy of the sun in like sunrise, sunset is good as well. Just being kind to yourself, and the more you can look after you, then you have the capacity to look after another. That might be your children or your partner, family member, colleague. It could be have the capacity to help those in need in various places around the world right now who are really struggling, and particularly these natural disasters that have recently happened. And when we are more in our own bodies and within ourselves, we have that capacity to think, I can, there is something I can do. I can, send some relief money or funds, or if it's nearby, sending items that people need. So it starts with ourselves, though. You fill yourself up, and then you're able to pour from that rather than from an empty vessel. And partly not exactly because of this, but I am going to offer definitely going to offer, starting from next Thursday, the 17th of October, which happens to be the full moon, another round of the wheel turns. And I'm going to be doing it fortnightly this time. So it's Thursday evenings, 7:30 to around about 9 New Zealand time. Small group of women, and we're going to be looking at the lunar energy, new moon, full moon, and obviously in between any big astrological things that are happening in that time, but really focusing on what's happening, the celebrations, the seasonal changes and shifts and rhythms from, post spring equinox until the summer solstice. So looking at what spring and summer look like in terms of celebrations here in New Zealand or in the southern hemisphere, because it's very different to the northern hemisphere, we both celebrate Christmas, for example, on the most part. But for the northern hemisphere, you're going into winter, so you have this beautiful imagery of the snow and cold and nourishing, wholesome but heavier foods. And if Father Christmas is who you follow, then he's rugged up and he's pulling a sleigh in the snow because it's winter, it's cold. Makes sense. However, in New Zealand, it's going to summer and it's hot and people are going to the beach. So for me, I'm really big on the New Zealand, what it looks like here. So it's true for us, it feels right. And it actually is more in alignment for our children as well. So this is a big reason I'm doing this coming term. So fortnightly on Zoom, 7:30 to 9 New Zealand time on a Thursday. So Maria at parentingwithsoul.com if you're interested. And it is going to be a small group of women. Beautiful, lovely, supportive, friendly, caring space. Relaxed, but it's a beautiful space. So if you'd like to join us, do let me know soon so I can make sure you have a space. And I'd love to have you. And even if you just want to know a little bit more, just send me an email or find me on Instagram, Facebook, Parenting with Soul, or actually just comment after this episode in the comments. I can give you more info. Yeah. Now, our beautiful guest today is the wonderful Emily Miotto, and she is a mother of one. She's a Theta healer practitioner, and she is all about supporting the New Earth children, and she's wonderful. She's fun. She's just a beautiful energy, and she has a big mission, and her what she has learnt and acquired and what she then now wants to share with everybody to help other parents who are supporting their New Earth children is really wonderful. So you'll enjoy this episode. So without further ado, I bring to you the wonderful Emily. Emily, welcome. Welcome to the Soulful Mamas podcast. So good to see you.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this conversation. And I know we spoke a little bit beforehand and I'm excited to keep that energy flowing. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Let's just dive straight in. And would you like to share with us maybe firstly where you're from, and your journey into motherhood, what that looked like or looks like?
Yeah. I am a recent mom, so I'm still in the thick of it. I am from Toronto, Canada, and I had my beautiful little light worker last year in May, actually on May 5th, a little Cinco de Mayo baby. And funny enough, her name is Maya. Don't know how the universe planned that. And I was naive going into it. I thought that everything would be great. I've been a healer for at that point, it was almost 7 years. I'd been a healer and I've been working with the subconscious, working on myself. And I'm like, when I have my daughter, I can run my business the exact same way. I'll be able to breastfeed her. I just thought I had the dream, and that dream was shattered the moment she came into this world. Because like I had this plan to do like a home birth and a natural birth, and again, I wanted that golden hour of just having her on my chest and just really soaking in this experience of and this massive transition and awakening into motherhood. But I was faced with they had to quickly cut the umbilical cord because she wasn't breathing, and they rushed her off to the hospital, and I didn't get to hold her or see her for 4 hours. And so it had a cascading effect on the rest of my motherhood experience in that first probably 10 months. I went straight into postpartum depression because I felt disconnected from my daughter because that trauma that from the birth and going against my natural instincts, not using my voice and being able to say, like, she's fine because she started breathing 5 seconds after they thought she wasn't breathing. So it probably even less than that as time stood still in that moment. And I wish I had the voice to have said, no, don't cut the umbilical cord, keep her here, bring the stuff here to help her or have it around you. Just, it didn't go as planned. It ended up having antibiotics, which I really was against as well. And yeah, it disconnected me from my daughter big time. And I was in a period of I don't even want to be a mom anymore. And I kept telling my mom, I don't feel like I love her. I feel like there's something missing there. And she kept telling me, no, Emily, like, don't worry. It's just because you're super tired and you haven't slept. And oh, every mom feels that way at the beginning. And I knew in my heart, like, no, there's something not right here. And I started really hating the experience of motherhood. And that brought up so much guilt for myself because I was like, I should be loving this. I see all their moms on Instagram, like fully thriving in motherhood with a newborn. And I'm like, I can't get out of bed and I haven't brushed my teeth since God knows when. My daughter doesn't sleep. And I was just, I hated it. And then one day I was bawling my eyes out on the kitchen floor and I just put my daughter down for a nap and it had taken me like, oh my God, close to an hour to get her to sleep. And she was a terrible sleeper and she had acid reflux. There was so much going on with her. In addition to, I know she felt the disconnection between her and I. And I was bawling my eyes out and I was just begging and praying and meditating and just saying, like, Creator, help me. Help me fix this. I cannot do this. This is not the kind of mom I want to be. And then I was reminded of Theta Healing and the practice that I had been doing before she was born. Like I was literally an instructor. I was had all my clients. I was doing Theta Healing. And the moment she came, I stopped and I went into fight or flight mode and I never got out. And so I started incorporating it day by day into my life. I started off with just a simple morning connection and meditation. And then I thought, okay, let me just ask what my daughter needs from me today. And she'd tell me things like, I need to be grounded, or I need more cuddles, or I need more skin to skin contact, or I need, there's some times where she needed more, try to think of when she was really young, some of the things that she needed. Sometimes it's as simple as I need more eye contact. And so I started incorporating that and doing that with her every day. And I started noticing my connection get better. And then I remembered a bunch of different practices that, again, I used to teach in my trainings before her, but somehow the mom brain just loses everything. And I started doing some energetic work on her. So I started healing and rewriting my birth experience with her. I started clearing the trauma from her body and from my body and all the trapped emotions that I know we were both holding on to from that experience. I started programming her with empowering beliefs that she missed out on experiencing because of that childhood trauma or that birth trauma. And then it was almost like the clouds parted and I could see, oh my God, this is something that so many moms don't know about. This is something that, like, how many people have had a terrible birth experience, whether it's in the hospital or whether it's at home and it didn't go as planned, and nothing happens. You just write it off as that's how my birth was. And sometimes you're still working through it 10, 15, maybe 20 years later. And you
Mhm.
wish, I wish I had a different experience. Well, I actually got to create that for myself and my daughter. And I started to notice how things that were happening in my life and in her life were connected to the chakras that were being developed at our age. And we'll talk about that more a little bit later. And so I started working with what she was teaching me, what I was teaching her, and started implementing into our daily practice and our daily lives things that I knew would help support her chakra development and her spiritual awakening. And everything changed. She now sleeps amazingly. She used to be like a not a cuddly baby, like just like don't touch me. Now she just wants to just snuggle right here and fall asleep all the time. She no longer has acid reflux, and this was done when I started doing the energy healing on her. I feel so connected with her, and now I freaking love motherhood. Now motherhood is fun because I'm also getting to understand where my childhood wounds came from. I'm able to support the next generation and I'm helping other moms do it. So it's just like a win-win. I freaking love motherhood now. And it all came from doing that energetic work that I didn't really know I needed.
Mhm. Wow, that is powerful. It's so interesting how many women, mamas I speak to that are disempowered in their birthing process. Um, and I
Mm.
mean, we often the best laid plans, you have to have flexibility with whatever whatever comes up. But yeah, it's amazing how many, and like you said, the 10, it's not just it's you deal with it 6 months later. It's the 10, 15, 20 years. It impacts them sometimes how they are with their grandchildren. The knock on, that ripple effect of that disempowerment at birth and that disconnection is so, oh, yeah, strong in how we respond or don't respond. And it's not known. People don't know. So therefore, it's okay and moving along. There's a gap there. But I have noticed women like yourself trying to rewrite that story. And I love hearing how you're doing it. I can't wait to hear more on exactly what you do. And it's also interesting how we forget the things that we know, the tools that we have.
Right?
Yeah,
Like
it's
I was
like,
doing it for 7 years. And all of a sudden I was like, woof, what's theta healing? What do I do?
yeah, no, it's yeah, I do get that. It's but it's amazing that you're able to tap in enough, or something was guiding you to reconnect and ask. It's, it seems simple, isn't it? It's just asking and lifting it up and realizing we're not alone. So, wow, incredible. Your daughter, what a gift for both of you.
She is my biggest teacher, I'll tell you that. She has definitely come here to awaken me.
Yeah, yeah. And it sounds like you're both on quite a fast track in doing so.
Oh my God. I feel like the more I understand like the belief system development, the chakra development, and how it's impacting both of us, the faster I'm learning the lessons because I now have like the blueprint in front of me, right? Whereas I feel it takes so much longer to go through healings together with you and your child and healing the mother wounds and all the fun stuff that as adults we're trying to navigate through because we don't know. There's no
Mhm.
book out there. There's no teachings on the child's spiritual development and how you speak to them and how you act to them is going to instill certain beliefs and how it's going to impact their chakra development and impact how they see the world. There's no books on that. You know the milestones to hit, right? If they're walking at a certain time, talking, if they can eat these foods, but who's talking about needing to ground your kids to help them sleep? No one.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it is until my book comes out in April, PS.
Oh, wow. Even, oh, that's one I didn't know. So, oh, I'm really looking forward to that. You're writing a book, you have a 16-month-old daughter. Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
I've learned how to bend time with the work that I do, and I do that all the time to make sure I can get everything done.
Yeah. Yeah, so you are working, you're obviously working closely, that connection with your daughter, with Maya. My daughter's name's Maya too, by the way.
Oh my
um,
God, so synchronistic.
I know.
You didn't even tell me that before when I was like, my daughter's name's Maya. Oh my God.
I know. And yeah, she's one of the little light workers too, but yeah, different story. But yeah, amazing that connection that you have with Maya, and it seems so natural now, and that you have that impulse to then share with others, which is incredible. So how does that look? How does that happen?
Whew, you're opening up something here. So I might go off on a tangent on this because I'm so passionate about it. So the
All
work that
good.
I do with moms and with children is teaching moms to do the number one thing that's needed when you're going to be raising a little new earth child, which is to trust your intuition, right? It's the
Mhm.
biggest thing because we've been indoctrinated with so much fear of the birth, for example, that you can't birth on your own because it's unsafe, but a doctor will be there and will make it so much safer, right? It's all the disempowerment. You have to sleep train your baby because it's the safest way. You have to vaccinate, you have to do all these things. There's so much fear around motherhood that we've lost our ability to connect with our child. And with these new earth kids coming in, the kids that are really meant to help us in our global awakening, that's going to support us in this paradigm shift, this new ascension for Earth, they have vastly different needs than any other kid. Meaning that any book that you read, any sleep training manual, any pretty much anything that is part of, as I say, the old world, that fear based parenting, they're not going to respond well to that because they have such a bigger energetic field, an auric field, that they're more sensitive to energy, right? As you can see, like the more and more sleep trainers are talking about blackout curtains and sound machines, right? Make sure it's completely black. And my parents, like I do that for my daughter. And the reason why is because she's so sensitive to light and to sound that I swear I could drop a pencil and she wakes up. If there's like a crack of light, she's in the dark, like looking at the light, and she's just staring. And so she won't sleep. And so I know that I have to protect her field. I sometimes put like a soundproofing energetic barrier over her. I have to do these things, but my parents are like, we used to vacuum under your crib when you were sleeping, right? Or we had the lights on and you would sleep anywhere. And that's because we were part of a different generation of kids coming in that were teaching our parents something completely different. This generation of kids, especially if they are part of this new earth, they could be called rainbow kids, rave kids, indigo children. They are very gifted. They are very spiritually aware. They're already far more awakened than we are. And they have such different needs. So they may throw bigger temper tantrums, but you following the old paradigm way of parenting isn't going to do anything. If you're going to punish them the same way as your parents punished you, it's not going to work because they don't know how to process their emotions because they're more light beings than they are physical beings right now, that they just, it's almost like you know that Energizer bunny? That's how
Mhm.
I visualize it. Like they're just a battery pack full of energy. And punishing them or putting them in a school system, for example, they won't thrive there. And so really what I'm teaching moms is to come back to your intuition and to be able to energetically connect with your child. Because when you can do that, you can begin to understand their chakra development and their belief development, which is going to give you complete insight onto how you need to parent best for them specifically at that time based on their needs. You're going to be able to check in on them on a daily basis to figure out their unique needs moment to moment. Like I mentioned before, if I would channel my daughter needed grounding today, or she needed more skin to skin contact. So you're able to truly support your kids even before they speak. And then when they get older, same thing. You're going to be able to work with your energy and the position you're in your spiritual development in addition to supporting theirs. So I work with moms and kids, and I teach them in many ways this beautiful modality called Theta Healing.
Mhm. Mm,
Yeah.
beautiful. Has that changed? I know you're doing this before you had Maya. Has it, is it the same, or is it completely up leveled, or did 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 the energy move for you, or did you have to move the energy? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
So before my daughter was born, I was a Theta healer and I was instructor on Theta Healing, but it was not but, and it was just for anyone who's interested in bettering themselves.
mhm.
As soon as my daughter came, so this is like a shift that is fairly new and already picking up so much momentum because I found so many moms are realizing, oh my God, I have a new Earth kid. I have a new Earth kid. How can I support them? Like more moms are realizing that, holy shit, I have no idea how to raise this kid because all the books are not going to tell you how to raise this specific kid. You are, and they are. And if you could read their energy, it will tell you. So I was led to this space by figuring out that I needed to parent differently because my daughter was a new Earth child. And I actually have a whole checklist too that you can see if you actually have a new Earth child too. I'll add the link or send you the link as well if you want
Yeah,
to send that to your audience.
yeah.
Because there are certain things that mainstream will tell you that's just either a kid who has ADHD or a kid who has autism, or maybe it's just a normal phrase, or like the temper tantrums at the age of 2 is just normal. Actually, it's not. It has to deal with their specific chakra development. It has to deal with their hypersensitivity to energy. So I have that whole list too that you can see if you have a child yourself that is part of a new earth.
Oh, wonderful. And that will be well received because I know even here in New Zealand, there's quite a few mums that I am, working with that are in my orbit and they're asking these questions. And exactly, there is no book. And so learning to, and it's a big part of my work too, is helping mums drop into access their own inner wisdom, their own intuition and to trust that. And sometimes we need that catalyst. And I know for me, my Maya was that catalyst into that to just really do and see and everything different. So such a gift. But otherwise, you're kind of fumbling along, just trying to, is it me? Am I crazy? Is it the doctor says this and this person says that and the specialists, and so to
Mm.
break free from those systems and really trust your own inner knowing it can be hard and it can be quite a lonely journey as well. I would have specialists saying, "What quackery are you listening to now, Maria?" And this is, yeah, and that was just for a naturopath. That's not even that's not that out there. I don't think so. You learn to say and not say certain things to
Yeah,
certain people.
my mom would actually do the same thing to me because we're not letting Maya have any starches until all of her teeth come in. Because from my own research, I've learned that it just takes a while for, I can't remember the exact enzyme to come in to allow them to properly digest it, right? And so we're waiting, and my mom's like, what is this? We gave you food when you were 6 months old. Like you can have it. We gave it to you when you were like, I think we even might have had some a bit earlier too, and like the rice cereal in
Oh yeah,
milk, because that was like a thing.
yeah,
Um,
Ferrex.
yeah.
Yes.
And she would be like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Like, what are you learning? Are you sure? Like, can we give her a little bit early?" And it's just like they don't get it. They don't understand. And we have to just be like, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and it's at that point when you have a choice to advocate for your child and to trust your intuition, your that strong inner knowing, or to know it's there but push it down because you want to be respectful for your elders or the people around you, even though everything within you is like red flags for yourself, because it's not. I think once you have children, it's actually easier to access that and speak out for them if you're advocating for them. When it's for ourselves, I'm speaking for me personally, we let things go. We're like, oh, okay, but when it's for your child, I found that's been my mama bear, if you like, came online much stronger, and it was there's a line in the sand, and I won't. It's a no from. It's a no from me. It's a no for us. I just was able to hold that, and I've continued to. But it takes a bit of work. So the more people you can connect with, that like-minded, that you can have the conversations with, you feel heard, and it's not just me. There's your child. Yeah. The village. We find our people, and it
Yes.
grows. Yeah.
That resonates so much with me. I had just shared something so similar about me advocating and setting a boundary for my daughter in one of my memberships for moms who are going through the spiritual awakening and want to access more and heal their womb and all that fun stuff. And this, so we have wonderful neighbors that continue to like to touch Maya when we're walking by, right? And they just will go up to you and be like, oh my God, like you're so cute, or I've missed you. And I can see that my daughter is clearly putting up a boundary, right? These New Earth kids, like they already know their shit. They they got it. There's
Mm-hmm.
no fear. But as as an adult from an older generation, they also don't see that that's a problem. And so they don't realize that kids have boundaries and they can set boundaries. And it's not okay to just go up and touch somebody else because you wouldn't do that to an adult, right? So
Mm-hmm.
why would you do it to a child? But again, that people pleasing in me came up of, okay, I can't say no because they're neighbors and they're just being nice. And it took me a little bit of time, and I had to do my own healing to realize that this is actually coming from my own childhood people pleasing issues that I then worked through with Theta Healing, and then was able to then go to them and be like, hey, wait for her to invite you into her space before you touch her. And that's
Yeah.
also a great practice for any mom hearing this. Phrase it in that way, and it won't be as woo-hoo to them, to those who don't understand, but it's also clearly saying this is a boundary. Wait for
Mm.
them to or wait for them to bring you into their space, to accept you into their space before you touch them.
Oh, I love that. How was that received when you did share that with your neighbour?
They were shocked at first. It was kind of like a whoa, but and they also understood. They
Mm.
understood and they respected it, and we haven't had to reinforce it. And it was so liberating for me to see, okay, it's actually well received, and hey, it actually feels good to set boundaries. And I know my daughter really appreciated it as well because she gave me a kiss after. And I was like, oh my God, you understand? And you're thanking me. This is the best day ever.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And I
Yeah.
can imagine that the way that you had to sit with it be, to deliver it in the most kind and respectful way, because it's not your intention to upset them. And it's not their intention to upset you, but it would have come from your heart, and they would have felt that as well, even though they don't fully understand, but they can accept it because it was in the delivery. Mm. Yeah. That's beautiful. And just that acknowledgement from your daughter, that's so.
Right? Like so many moments where I'm like, it's confirmation that she is so aware that I have to be really careful what I say in front of her.
Yes, I think that's a really important thing to note, actually, because just because they're not verbal yet doesn't mean they're not taken, and they've got their little notebook and they're taking notes. Like, it's all going in. They know their comprehension is completely online. Their awareness, and they're just using different senses more strongly than the one of speech, but it's there. And I think adults really need to check. We all need to check ourselves with the conversations we have around them, just the energy of the content, whatever the conversation is, or even if it's something in the background on the, I don't know, it could be the type of music, or it could be, at grandparents' place and the news is on in the background, and it's that
Yeah.
type of thing. Mm.
Yeah. Even the words you use. So in Theta Healing, we actually talk about how the subconscious mind can pick up on a couple of words, and one of them includes the word don't. So how often are parents telling their kids, don't touch this, don't touch that, don't do this, don't do that? And what their brain is actually perceiving is do this, touch that, be here. And so when they then get in trouble because their parents said don't do it, but they heard do it, what's actually happening is that they are now in a state of confliction between, do I trust my intuition and my inner knowing because I received it as a green light to go, but I did something wrong to the point where my mom or dad got angry at me. So what's right? What's wrong? And that right there is starting to affect their sacral chakra, which is actually starting their development at the age of 2, which is when the terrible twos come because the kids don't listen. And then when you put the whole picture together, you realize that it's actually because you're speaking to them in a language they don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's it's a really lovely reminder. Well,
Hmm.
for some people, maybe not even a reminder, it's just a whole new awareness that we get so entrenched and conditioned in the ways that we're brought up and what society says to do and not do. And that's what you know. So going into parenthood, you that's the tools you have. And it's hard when you feel something different within you and you don't know what that is. And so then that's given a label too. Oh, you might need it's postpartum or it's anxiety. Let's give you some medication for that. You know, there's so much more exploration and deeper conversations that could be had to really navigate what is going on an energetic level. Just understanding that and being
Yeah,
more in tune. Yeah. So I love the work that you're doing.
thank you.
It's interesting that you had that experience with the birth, because even though it didn't go at all how you wanted it, but it's almost like you needed to go through that type of initiation to birth this next level of work and creation into the world. So
For
because it's a
sure.
lived experience, right? You've done it yourself, and you can see the before and after, and I can hear it just hearing the story. It's just so you can just hold that and experience it. So um yeah, it's a gift for everyone working with you
Thank
to
you.
be able to, there is something, there are tools, there's support, and you're not alone. Yeah. So how do people work with you? How does it look right now with a 16-month-old in tow?
So I have found a way to incorporate my business and spirituality in general with motherhood because I find that's one of the biggest things. There's many blocks for moms doing this work, but one of the blocks is how the heck do I have time? So a lot of my work is done actually through Telegram. Have you heard of Telegram?
Yeah.
Because I can give my trainings and give my audios and my healings and everything through that space, and then moms can listen to it on their own time, right? When they're driving or breastfeeding or they're doing 5 bajillion other things, they can also receive the healing that they need. I'm also teaching moms how to do theta healing. So all my trainings for theta healing is now tailored to moms to be able to use this modality because as you mentioned before, like we don't have the tools. I say to my clients all the time, theta healing is one of the greatest tools you can have as a mom to a new birth child because it gives you, oh my gosh, I could go on and on about theta healing, but it gives you everything that you need to heal yourself and to understand your child's spiritual development to also be able to heal and connect with them deeper. You, in this space, you can so, how it works is that you access an altered brainwave state of theta. And what happens in this space is that you have access to the subconscious mind. In that, and you mentioned it earlier in the episode too, is when kids are absorbing everything when they're little and they have their little notebook out, that's because they're in that theta brainwave state in the first 7 years of their life. And they are just a sponge. This is where their belief systems are being developed. You can actually access that space on demand and figure out and heal your own wounds that you picked up in childhood to be now you're breaking generational cycles, right? You're going to become an empowered, awakened mother because you're going to balance your chakras. You're going to work with your energy. You're going to be able to work with your kids' energy. You're able to pull up beliefs and reprogram them and also develop and support your child's energetic field as well. The moms in my containers and my trainings know how to release spirits that attach to their child. They know how to clear off any energetic cords of the toys and the food and anything they interact with because there's energetic imprints on everything. They know how to program their kids' sleep, how to give them downloads and balance their root chakra so they sleep better. They know the tools to navigate those unique needs of a newer child in a modality that gives you direct access to the greater mind, to your intuition, to your higher self. And in that space, when you have access to this universal, I was gonna say universal Google, there's never an I don't know anymore.
Mm.
Right now, it's you can always turn inward. You have now the empowering beliefs and programs to trust yourself. And you also have the tools that instill that trust and then can be doing energy work on your kids. It's phenomenal. I am absolutely obsessed with it.
Mm. It sounds amazing. I'm just sitting here thinking, gosh, I needed that when my children were,
Right?
yeah. Ah, amazing. So it's all obviously Telegram is online, but if your access to you is all online, do you do anything in person as well, or not at this stage?
Not at the moment, just because my community has grown worldwide.
Yeah.
So I love to be able to connect like-minded moms around the world that are, like you said, wanting to find their tribe,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
we're all finding each other. We just don't happen to live in the same zip code.
exactly. Exactly. No, I love that. And that is, like we were saying earlier, the beauty of technology. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with it, but in this instance, it's amazing. And it's reframing it that it's a really positive thing if we're in control of how we're using it rather than it controlling us. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's incredible. So I will make sure that all your offerings and how to find and access you in the show notes. So I'll pop all those down for people to, yeah,
Awesome.
learn more about you and the work that you do. And I know that for some people it'll be like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I've been looking for. And others it will be, oh, it's a whole new thing, but it will it's like a seed that's been planted. And
Man, I love that. It's got
yeah,
truth bumps.
yeah. And I mean for us over in the down in the southern hemisphere, I love that we've just had the equinox. So you're just on that balance point. You're going into autumn, fall, and we're spring. But for us, those new seeds, the potential of growth. But for you in the northern, it's that the seeds can be planted and nurtured for a little bit longer than they can grow. So yeah,
Yes.
just yeah, all of that energy. I think for us down here, that's exciting, and it can be nurtured and loved and grow. So it's just amazing that work like this is being done because and it's very interesting. I've had quite a few conversations lately about basically this very thing, but how to access the the support and how to find out more about it. And then ta-da, creator brings Emily
Right?
into our world. Yeah.
I love when that happens. You're like, creator, I really need this. And you go looking for it everywhere. And then you have something like this. And you're like, oh, thank you. Done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just done. It's incredible. Ah. Wow. Is there anything else you want to share about your work or your daughter or your husband? How I'd love to actually know how does he is this part of his world anyway, or is he like many dads? Okay, I'm trying to catch up. And
No, thankfully, he is fully on board. I actually trained him to be a Theta healer as well before we had my daughter, but I'm so grateful that I did because it has been so helpful. He's been so supportive. There are times when he won't, like, I'll go up to him and be like, did you bless her food? Did you program her food? Did you zip her auric field up? And be like, oh, I forgot again, or oh, I forgot. So it's not as natural for him. And he's also doing a great job. So I'm so grateful to have that support and someone who backs me up as I'm doing my witchcraft on her and putting spells on her, and I'm doing mantras with her when I'm breastfeeding, and everyone else is like, what the heck is going on there? And I'm just balancing my daughter's chakras as I'm programming my breast milk. Like, yeah, so he's fully on board with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's incredible. But and also for people that your family probably they would have known the experience that you had when Maya was, much younger, and the disconnect that you had, and the acid reflux and the not sleeping, and they would have known that that was your story then, that was your
Mhm.
world. And then suddenly it's a whole different, there's a different child, it would seem to them, their eyes, and different mother. So
Yeah.
even though they don't necessarily understand what it is that you're doing, they can see that it's working, it's beneficial, because you've
Yeah.
got this beautiful light around you, and I can imagine she does as well. And so this is the space that you are and who you are, and you're shining. So it can't be, there's no disputing that. It's evidence right there. Yeah.
I I love what you said. There, it reminds me of one of my clients who was doing this work with me, and she, like so many moms, didn't trust her intuition, right? So there was so much fear around her. Her daughter was, I'm pretty sure her daughter was seeing spirits, if I can remember correctly, and she didn't know how to help her. But she was really also nervous to start doing this energy work because, again, if you grew up in a religious household, there's a lot of God wounds that need to be healed, right? And
Mhm.
only God can heal. And so she was really worried. And then we started doing this work and we started working on her first because until you work on you as a mom, you can't then do the healing on your child. If you don't
100%.
trust,
Yeah.
how are you going to see inside your kid's body to see that they have sickness? You can't, right? So we started doing the work on her. And then one day she messaged me and she's like, oh my God, Emily, my daughter has a massive fever. Can you send her healing? And normally my clients have a love-hate relationship with me because I'll usually respond with close your eyes and ask what you need to do. Or they'll be like, Emily, I don't know what to do. I'm like, close your eyes and ask. Because my job is to really train you to connect back with that higher self, right? So anyway, she connected, she got that, okay, I'll do the healing. I'll do the theta healing on her and we'll see what happens. She messages me back 5 minutes later. She's like, oh my God, Emily, my daughter's fever is gone in like under 5 minutes. I can't believe this happened. And then since then, she's like, she's obsessed with theta healing because it was then that proof for her. And I think that's what I also love as well is that when you have a modality that works so quickly and it can be done in such a short period of time and all over the place, now it becomes like motherhood becomes fun. Right now, it's no longer another task I have to add to my list of being able to read my child's energy or heal myself. No, it's fun, it's easy, and it's such a powerful tool. And yeah, it's just a story that I absolutely love because
Mm.
I tell all my other clients that I'm like, yeah, I had one client who lowered their daughter's fever in under 5 minutes twice. It's the second time she's done that too.
That's incredible. It's
Mhm.
proof of concept. And yeah, that's exactly it. You need to go sometimes. Our children, like your daughter, won't need to do this because she'll just be so fully trusting and aware of herself and her what she needs and doesn't need. But we still, as adults, with different programming, we need proof. We need
Yeah,
to go through the experience to realize, oh, okay, yeah,
yeah, because we have programs of it's hard work and that it's unsafe to trust. And so, yeah, we're going to need a lot of proof. And then, even then, sometimes the proof isn't enough if that core belief is deeply ingrained in the body.
mm, mm, yeah,
Because there is proof of abundance all around you every single day, but there are people who still come to me and say, I'm broke.
yeah,
There is proof all around you of love. People still come to me and say, I can't get a partner,
yeah,
right? So that's the work that I do with moms is clearing out those lies that you've been told that you picked up from your childhood so you can then start speaking and acting and believing beliefs that are going to shape your kids so they can grow up free and liberated and be looking around the world to be like, oh my God, everybody is connected. Like my daughter
mhm.
goes and hugs trees now because she
Oh,
sees me.
amazing. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
And I'm like, what other kids are doing that? Because I see other kids. The other day, a neighbor was walking behind me with her two boys, and I had walked ahead, and there was a worm on the floor, and I was like, "Look, Maya, a worm! Like, we gotta hope that it gets to the other side before a bird comes and gets it." And she's waving to the worm and everything. I take her to the tree to go hug it, and then I hear the other boys that were walking behind me, and they killed the worm. They stepped on it and like, die, die, die. And I'm like, completely different values. But that comes back from the mom.
Mm.
The mom's not teaching them that we are all one, that we are all connected, that we can live through love, but everything is, yes, there is dark and light and shadow and all that, but love transcends everything. We
Yeah.
show empathy for other things, even if it's a tiny little bug.
Yeah. And
And
children come in online, they come in with this awareness already, and it's a natural way of being to be in a space of awe and wonder. And if
yeah,
they unlearn that very quickly, if, like you're saying, the family values are different, or if what's been modeled to them is different, or if there's a lot of screen time and they're watching things that are, there's violence or fighting, or that connection's not there, but they actually come in with their eyes. It's a world of awe and wonder. It's
yeah,
and we either nurture that, they either teach us to take time and notice that beautiful butterfly and the wonder of that little wriggly worm, rather than, oh, it's a slimy little thing, and that's what a lot of adults have. And so therefore the child is going to have that too. But yeah, the magic of childhood. It's such a beautiful time, and we have a big job of honoring it for our
yeah.
children.
Our jobs of as moms, I always tell my clients that we're mentors for them.
Yeah,
But we can only be mentors for them if we are healing ourselves so we're not triggered by them. Because when
absolutely.
we are triggered by them, it's our own inner child that's scared of what we're going to receive from our parents.
Yeah.
So we can be mentors when we are doing our own healing.
Mm, amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Emily.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me here. This is awesome.
Before we go though, what do you do to keep your soul full? What's something just
Uh,
for you? What do you do?
I absolutely love ecstatic dance and meditating. I am obsessed with meditating because it's probably because of what I can do with Theta Healing, because Theta Healing is ultimately meditation. It's probably because what I can do. I love sitting in meditation for hours, and I'll be like connecting with Mother Gaia, or I'll be talking to the universal law of truth, or seeing my spirit guides, or bending time, or like there's so many fun things that I can do and just understand and unlock the keys to the universe. And that for me just fills my soul.
Mm, I can imagine. That's a place where I'd love to join you. Imagine the whole
Come
world
to the
there.
next Theta Healing training, and you will learn how to do this.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, I love that. I love that you have that for yourself too, that you know how to keep your soul full, because you're obviously holding space for a lot of other people as well. So it's getting that balance as well.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for hours, Emily. I just,
I'm more than happy to come back and we'll
yeah,
pick up where we left off. Because
I
we
can
haven't even talked
imagine.
about the chakra development or
I
the
know,
belief development. Like,
I know,
we
I
didn't
know.
even get there yet.
No, there's another part one, part two, part three.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to have questions from people listening in. So all your details will be below in the show notes. And thank you so much for your time and the work that you're doing in the world. It's such a gift, so necessary. And we're very, very blessed to have you and others doing this work. So thank you.
And thank you for being you.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. Isn't Emily wonderful? I think she's just great. Such a beautiful, wholesome energy about her, and she's so passionate about what she does. I love that. So it was a joy to chat with her, and and as always, I always learn something myself. So really, yeah, always forever grateful to these beautiful people that come on. Gosh, so many takeaways. You've probably got your own. You might have to re-listen to it yourself and hear a few things again, but here's a few. So number one, our children are our greatest teachers. And number two, there are no teachings on a child's spiritual development. So it's something that we need often support with. Number three, there's so much fear around motherhood keeping us disconnected from our children. So it's important to revisit this whole fear piece. Number four, new with children have vastly different needs, and so it's important to learn how to meet them in the most supportive way. Number five, come back to your own intuition and energetically connect with your children. That's a big one, I think, for all of us. And of course, number six, it's actually trusting our intuition, working on ourselves first before we can begin to work on our children. Many things in there. Thank you so much, Emily, for your time. And thank you all for listening. As always, I always don't take it lightly, your beautiful ears in this space listening in. I appreciate it. And I'm grateful for you and your listenership. And if this resonates, particularly this episode, because it's new, but I've had many conversations about this with people that's just here in New Zealand. So I'm sure it's bubbling around in all different places. So share the episode with them, and they can find Emily and others, or just start having conversations about it. It doesn't mean a label as such for your children, but it's just being open to new thought processes and paradigms, and thinking broader in a more expansive way. So do share the episode. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, all of those things. And remember also, if you're interested in joining me for the Wheel Turns, another round of that, I'd love to have you, so get in touch. But until then, have a most wonderful, soul-filling week ahead, and I will see you again soon. Bye.